Okay, this is the last Preptober video. Can you guys believe this? Can you guys believe that we've been talking about my writing process with hopes that you can get something out of it for an entire month? This is crazy. Hi, hello. My name is Esther Marie Andujar. I'm a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid author, and today is the last Preptober video where I talk about the long outline. So, what is the long outline? Like I said in previous videos, technically it's just save the cat, beat cheat. Or if I'm writing a romance, Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes, I prefer to have a structure, a framework to kind of like um, fill in when I work through an outline, a plot. So I enjoy using Save the Cat because for me, that section of like telling you which beats are multiple scenes really click with my brain. I also got the Save the Cat Rise a YA, a young adult novel. Have not read it. I just got it like a day or two ago. So I already have it on my future video ideas, kind of like a comparison and kind of like who would I recommend to buy what or both. So that's probably gonna come next year. So don't expect a video about this in 2023. That ain't happening. Uh, Setting the expectations. So, but what I wanted to kind of like talk is how I go from that short outline that we talked, those four beats, and bleed it through Save the Cat, writes a novel, beat sheet. I will sit to this side mostly so I can have this space where you see my Kanban board and my printer and all the little messy things that I have. So I can put graphics if I decide to put some visual aids to have a space alongside my face. Um, so just so we can kind of like refresh if you have not watched the short outline video, which I will put it in the cards and down in the description. Let me quickly run through them so you know what I'm talking about. So this is the order that I go about it. The ending. So I need to know the ending before I can even imagine writing the book. Then the catalyst or inciting incident, then the midpoint, and the last bit that I plot out of those four is the all is lost beat. Those are the four ones that I start with. I have to know my ending. Then I need to know what the event or situation or what happens that propels the character to the new world. Then I need to know the midpoint, which is what kind of false victory or false failure they're gonna have to go through that will flip the tables for them again. And then I need to know what's gonna be the lowest point my character or characters will be in this story. So what do I do now that I have those four beats and then translate them into the long outline, aka the 15 beat sheet of Save the Cat? I will probably put a um, picture of the graphic of the beats, kind of like this situation, but a little longer here. So, since I know how the story ends, I pretty much know or have a better idea on how the story opens. That opening image, I know how it's gonna look like and who's gonna be in it based on how my ending went. Usually, I then, as you see, the next beat is the theme stated, but I personally switch the beat and work on the setup first, and then I deal with the theme stated. Because a lot of the times at that point, I don't know enough to know what's going to be the theme of the book. So I don't get stuck myself in that beat. I just like move on, I just go to the setup. So what do I include in the setup scenes? This is a multiple scene beat, multiple chapter beat, however you kind of like divide your story in your head. Um, this is where I further introduce my characters. This is where I show you their status quo world. This is where I start building the relationship between the characters and the secondary characters. And probably this is where I start hinting what's going to be the incited incidents, aka the catalyst. Um, Sometimes at this point, I do know the team stated, so I jot down the scene that will have the team stated. Sometimes I still don't know. Team is something that either comes to me while I'm outlining plotting, or is something that I will have to search for it after I draft. I there's in with that regard, I don't have an in between. I either know it or I don't and have to discover it while drafting. So, you know, that's probably the only beat that might be blank when I start writing. It depends on the project. So then I write again the catalyst, incited incident, and then I it says that we have the debate, which is a multiple scene beat. So what do I do here? So catalyst happen, and I am also thinking, okay, this is my midpoint. What has to happen? What is the mental process in environment process that the character or character has to go through so I can push them into getting closer to my midpoint. That's how I think of when I deal with the debate. It's like what my character has to go through that they will be like, fudge, oh, I have to. I have to say yes to the inciting incident, to the catalyst. I had to agree to this. I have to go through this and, you know, move past it, move out of my comfort zone those kind of things. So that's for me what the debate scenes are. Then that break into two is it's pretty much that scene that will literally get move them from the world that they know, the status quo, to the new world. And now we get into the Act Two. Act Two, Part One. It's mostly the fun and games, which is a multiple scene, multiple character beat, and the midpoint. Again, I know where I'm going. I'm going to the midpoint. Everything that I have done from the debate scenes to the break into two and everything that I will build in the fun and games leads me to my midpoint. So the way that I go about a lot of these things is like my the catalyst is my goalpost for when I build the opening images, the setup scenes, and the team stated, and I get to the catalyst. Once I'm done with the catalyst, then I have my next goalpost, which is the midpoint. And my debate scenes, my break into two, and my fun and games, it's everything that I built to get to my midpoint. So the fun and games, it's pretty much the premise of the premise. So this is Marina, for example. This is where a lot of some fighting scenes, and you get exposed to vampires society in her family. You get exposed a little bit more of her own kind of like vampire life and what she has built. um, you get a little bit of the curtain open and kind of like see that what has been talked about her is not actually that, it's different or worse. And you keep chugging further along into this new world and into what the midpoint is, which I am not gonna spoil it, so I'm not gonna use any examples of a midpoint. I'm interjecting this because I just referenced this little dandy graphic. I forgot about the B story. I do tend to forget about the B story because a lot of my stories that are not romance do have multiple subplots. So to me, instead of having a B story, I just set up my A plot and then I interject subplots. Some of them run through the second act all the way to the end. Some of them are just the second act and they get resolved before we go into the third act. Some of them are just the first part of the second act or the second part of the second act. It's just depending on what's the purpose of the subplot, because the subplot is there to aid the A plot, the main plot. So, a B story could be your subplot, your romance subplot. It could be a mentor subplot. I also want to point out the B story usually is there to aid your character to start being exposed and eventually learn the lesson, which is the team stated. Um, so if you are like me working with multiple subplots, usually my subplot who runs through most of the book, it's my B story. I just don't classify it that way in my head. So for the book that I'm writing for NaNoWriMo, this probably will be some of the relationship between the characters who come from generational wealth interacting with characters who have no monetary wealth, and how they, even though they come from different backgrounds and they have different family structures, the bottom line is they are the same. They're human beings who want love and acceptance, and to fit in, to find their group, their people, their family kind of situation. So knowing what my midpoint is, knowing if it is a false victory or a false failure, I especially know how I am structuring that B story or that main subplot out of the subplots that I have for the story, and the fun and games scenes. All of that has to get me to the midpoint. And the midpoint is literally that like twist that will change the tables for the character or main characters, um, that will flip again their perspective of this new world and their situation, and it will force them closer to that lesson they need to learn, which is the team stated. So the next beat that I have from the short outline is the all is lost. So when I said on that video, the all is lost, it's pretty much a character driven beat for me, and it is in the book too, in the Save the Cat, because that's the lowest point for the character in the story. As they reach bottom, and literally there's no other way than to search in deep in themselves and go up. um so the beat that I have between the midpoint and the other slots is the bad guys close in, which is a multiple chapter beat. So everything that I'm building there is to connect that plot twist in the midpoint to the lowest point of my character. And it has to be also cohesive with everything else that I have built. Once I reach there, everything else that I'm building, that Dark Night of the Soul, that break into three, and that 5-stage finale that she talked about in the book, it's literally getting me to that ending and that final image scene that I have already built for myself on the short outline. So that's how I extend my short outline. So technically, like I said, I just need a roadmap. I just need some goalposts. I need some lights at the end of the tunnel that I am trying to reach. Um, and I go from there. Um, does my outline change based on what I write? Yes. I always change things. It's just something a little bit inevitable for me, because I I discover my characters while I'm drafting. So what I thought might happen might change because my perception of the character probably changed while I was writing it. Um, but usually that short outline, those 4 beats that I plotted, rarely change. They might I might tweak them a little bit. We might change location, but the situation is pretty similar. They still keep them as the goalpost. It's what I'm trying to say. So I know I went very quickly through this structure. Main reason is, you can just buy the book and read it. There's plenty of other content creators here on the community that have talked about this structure, both this book and the Blake Snyder uh, scripting related book. Um, so I don't think you need an additional tutorial about that. I My main focus for this video is just to kind of like walk you through my brain process on how I take that short outline and use it as a guide to do the longer outline, and also letting you know that when I'm drafting, I probably keep my short outline more in mind than my long outline. And again, they are just row maps. They are a guide. So when I face the blank page, I am not paralyzed because I kind of like know what I'm supposed to be writing. I'm gonna quickly do a similar thing with the romancing the beat, and I say quickly because I do tend to talk about romance a lot more than other genres, but I technically do the same thing. I With romance is a lot easier to know what the ending is. The ending is them being together. But I actually, for me, I figure it out what the wholeheartedly looks like. There's a section before the epilogue, which is the ending, and it's what the relationship looks like when love wins. That's the ending that I picture to know other things. And other beats that I need to know, I need to know the mid cute. I also need to know the midpoint, and I usually need to know the breakup. That's the one I think might be slightly. I mean, the breakup is the lowest point for the characters in a love plot. So I will pop them here again. What are those plots that I need to know? So I need to know what the wholeheartedly looks like. Then I need to know what the mid cute look like. Then I need to know the midpoint, and then I need to know the breakup. Those are the four beats that I have as a short outline when I am writing a romance book. And then I go again through romancing the beats and go through them and start filling that up and building bridges to get to those four plot points that I already worked through. It's a similar approach. I approach my books pretty similarly. I kind of like know already what works for me. Thankfully, it took me years, but I have figured it out myself. Hopefully, some of this will give you kind of like an idea on how to go about your own process. If you are a discovery writer that is looking to maybe try some plotting or some outlining to kind of like, again, have that roadmap, um, definitely check out the short outline video. That might be enough for you. Um, and if you are totally new to writing, have tried discovery, but you fizzle out and get kind of like paralyzed by not knowing where to go and what to ride, maybe give Save the Cat writes a novel a chance. Or if you write young adult, give it the young adult edition a chance. Or if you write romance. None of this is sponsor friends. It's just literally the structure that I use. I am recommending it based on my own personal solo experience. None of this is sponsored, and none of the links are affiliate either. So, not selling you anything, which nothing is wrong if someone is selling you something. So, it's okay. This is out on the 31st. Happy Halloween if you celebrate it. If you don't, that's okay. Just let other people enjoy what they like to enjoy. You're Nothing's gonna happen to you by letting other people enjoy Halloween, you know. So you do. Um, what else? I should be still streaming Sundays for NaNoWriMo because of the United States doing the daylight saving, so they're going back an hour. Puerto Rico doesn't do that kind of thing. So for you guys in the Eastern Daylight time, the streams are going to be at 4 p.m. So I will be doing that. Hopefully, I will be um, streaming on Twitch too. And I also been thinking of doing some like shorter writing lives on Instagram, and maybe um, Twitter. I'm not sure, but certainly I've been looking at Instagram and do some lives. Let me know if you will be interested if I do like 20 to 30-minute lives where we just write together for that amount of time. Um, yeah, just let me know that in the comments if that is interesting to you. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Again, happy Halloween. Happy NaNoWriMo if you're watching this after Halloween, after October. And like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.